Yo, what is up guys? Staleboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a quick preview and prediction for Anthony Cacace versus Josh Warrington. This fight of course goes down on the undercard of Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. Takes place on the 21st of September at Wembley Stadium. Of course, this fight marks Anthony Cacace's first title defense of his IBF super featherweight title that he won against Joe Cordina back in May of this year. Big upset at the time, Anthony Cacace knocking out Joe Cordina. He was really a man on a mission that night, and he's defending his title against Josh Warrington. One thing I'll say about this fight, I fully expect it to be very entertaining. Neither guy really takes a backward step, especially these days, in regards to Cacace. I expect this one to be a battle. I expect this one to be a war. I expect it to be entertaining. However, I only really see this fight going one way. I'm not saying the upset isn't possible, but I make Anthony Cacace a fair favourite in this fight. Cacace is a pretty big super featherweight. He's 5'10", southpaw, big dude, strong guy. Josh Warrington has fought all of his career at featherweight. He's coming up to super featherweight to take this fight. And even at featherweight, it wasn't like Josh Warrington was a gigantic featherweight, So looking at this fight, Cacace has the size advantage, he's got the strength advantage, he's got the power advantage, and with all that being said, I think it favours Cacace quite strongly, to be honest with you. Cacace surprised a lot of people when he beat Joe Cordina back in May. He stopped Joe Cordina, of course. Every time he landed cleanly, it seemed like he was hurting Joe Cordina. I've seen a lot of Cacace over the years, and he's always been a very good domestic level fighter here in the UK. But I always heard from boxing insiders how hard this guy hits. And I was always thinking, well, his record doesn't really show that. His record right now is 22-1, 8 of his 22 wins coming by way of knockout. So on paper, he's not got a big puncher's reputation. But a lot of people in the industry were always saying how hard this guy hits. The issue was with Cacace earlier on, he kind of negated that power by trying to box more, trying to be more cute. Whereas against Joe Cordina, it was a world title opportunity and he fought like it. He really sold out. He was really throwing power in both hands. He was really going for it, being very aggressive, trading with Joe Cordina, drawing him into a fight. And I mean, very early on, you could see that every time Cacace landed, Cordina was greatly affected. And that's the power people have been talking about that I've not really seen in the pro ring. My thing with Cacace is, he needs to go into this fight with that same mindset, that same aggressive mindset, that same mindset of throwing punches, trading, exchanging. Because Warrington is a very busy guy. He's not the hardest puncher in the world, but he's a buzzsaw. He's very active, he throws a lot of punches, high punch output, and he can win rounds based on that. Even against Lee Wood in his last fight, I felt Warrington was doing quite well, but he was winning most of the rounds in my opinion. But when Warrington got caught, when he got touched, you could see the power differential. And Lee Wood was eventually stopped him, of course. And I think Cacace needs to play on that. I think Cacace needs to try and match Josh Warrington in the exchanges. I think he's going to get outworked in the exchanges because Josh Warrington is so busy, but Cacace's got the strength advantage, he's got the size advantage. I don't think it really matters if Cacace gets outlanded in the exchanges because he's going to be landing the heavier shots, the more thudding, powerful shots. So yeah, Warrington could win the exchanges in terms of just landing more punches, but in terms of landing damaging punches, I think that's going to really favour Cacace. So yeah, you could see a scenario where Warrington is landing, but he's not really doing damage, but Cacace's landing a bit less, but he is doing damage. What I don't think Cacace can afford to do in this fight is going back to that boxer mindset, where he's trying to pick his shots. and trying to be more selective, because then you give the output guy in Josh Warrington a chance to pick up rounds, build up a lead, and then have something to defend and build upon, kind of thing. He needs to go into this fight with the same level of aggression that he did against Joe Cordina, you know? He needs to go into this fight with that same mindset. If he doesn't, then that's when this fight can become dangerous in terms of losing for Cacace, just being outworked, out-hustled, because that is one thing Warrington is very good at. But if he goes into this fight with a mindset of wanting to exchange with Warrington, wanting to go punch for punch, and being the aggressor, I think he wins this fight, because I don't think then Josh Warrington can adopt a back foot game where he can outbox Cacace and keep him off. I don't see that happening in this bout. I think Warrington only wins this fight if Cacace adopts the wrong game plan, aka tries to box. If he's aggressive, if he utilises that size advantage and power advantage, Warrington can only really fight one way. He can only really fight one way. And primarily, Warrington is pretty aggressive. He can be in and out in terms of, like, he'll get in, he'll fire those quick-handed shots and get out. You know, he'll throw those flurries and reset. But when he throws those flurries, he's always flat-footed. He's always, like, feet planted into the canvas. And in those moments, you know, just Cacace just needs to match him, needs to go punch for punch. If he does, I think he's going to cause far more damage. It's going to be very entertaining for as long as it lasts, but so long as Cacace adopts the right game plan, I can't see him losing this fight. I think he's too big, too strong, too powerful for Josh Warrington. I will say though, Cacace is 35, so, you know, in these lighter weight classes, he could fall off a cliff, but he's not had like a super hard career, whereas Warrington, he's a bit younger, he's 33, he's had a much harder career. Warrington has had some very hard fights, and of course, you look at his recent form, of his last 5 fights, he's lost 3, and 1 was a technical draw, so he's won 1 of his last 5 fights. And he's been stopped in 2 of those losses as well, to Lara and Lee Wood. So, yeah, Cacace is a bit older, but you'd imagine Warrington's got more wear and tear on his body. So, listen, I think this fight's going to be very entertaining for what it is. I think it's going to be very entertaining, but I can only really see Cacace winning this fight. I think he wins by stoppage, and I think he ends the career of Josh Warrington. That's my prediction. Share your thoughts below. I'd say a stoppage later, like second half of the fight. But yeah, share your thoughts below. How do you see this fight going? Do you give Warrington a chance, or like me, do you think Cacace is just too big, too strong? Share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.